Hello, Professor Lisa. I really apologize for my confusion that I had. I'm presenting my homework very late. Um, Basically, I had this um, I misunderstood the times. I think I read the syllabus the first week of classes, and I don't know why I thought this was due for week 7. In any case, I really appreciate your help, and I appreciate that you receive, even with a penalty, and I understand why. I really appreciate and I thank you for accept at least for some point this presentation. All right. So I had an interview with a gentleman that works in a hospital. This is the overview of the of this presentation, the business leader description, the application of leadership theory, greatest career achievement for the leader that I chose to interview, how he handled the challenge, and we'll see that he had a couple. The leadership style comparison, I thought I decided to compare him with Mr. Richard Branson, um, and I'll explain later why. Well, leadership lesson and reflections. So the business leader description. This gentleman's name is Brian Blade. He's a CPA. He's 34-year-old. He is from Omaha, Nebraska, even though he's living now in Red Oak, Iowa. He currently is a CFO at Montgomery County Memorial Hospital, and he has been the CFO of the organization for the last 20 months. Um, Previously, he was the accountant, and he had a couple other administration positions. So he basically interact in, especially with finance or the finance department, but he had an overall knowledge of the entire organization from a management point of view. Um, the Montgomery County Memorial Hospital is a hospital plus clinics and has been around the Red Oak area, this little town of 5,000 people in southwest Iowa, since 1907. The story of the hospital, it's long. So they were in a couple places in town, but now, I mean, in the 70s, they bought this big piece of land and established a pretty decent big hospital. It's a local hospital. It hasn't had all the services, but it serves well um, people from the area. It also has um clinics and services in a couple towns around. So the application of leadership theory. Mr. Blay had several styles of leadership according to what we talk during the interview. What I could pick up from that interview and what I noticed it that he had several leadership styles, but there are three that I thought uh, fit him the best or the most: the trait theory, the behavioral, and the situational theory. I'll talk about this in the next slide. Um, I believe that Mr. Blake primarily practices a trait theory, which emphasizing the importance of honesty and transparency, or transparency, I'm sorry, in his actions during the exercise of the administration. I think he talked about that. He talked about the importance of transparency within a leader with its group or teamwork. Uh, the behavioral theory. that focus on actions and behaviors of the leader. And I think this gentleman has performed a great leadership since that point of view, because he appreciates and value, as everyone in the hospital I could tell, um, the behavior of their manager or the management team, how they interact with respect and with ethicals with their peers and the rest of the employees. So it's when I think it's part of his personality. So he didn't learn this to apply it, or it's just a skill that he learned along the way, and he just tried to perform better. It's just part of his personality, I think. And lastly, the situational leadership, which refers to the capacity of adapt that a leader has to understand their work, their teamwork or the work team, and that it's mainly task oriented, and we'll see then what the challenges part that he is actually task oriented. One size don't fit all. It's part of what say about the situational leadership, and that is absolutely right in this case. He understands that people are different and they need the different ways to approach them. So in the career achievement, the greatest, he divided in two. So to get the CPA certification was a big thing for him. It probably had a chance to better up job opportunities since he had the certification. So he mentioned that that was a big deal for him. And the other one refers directly to his job, his current job now, because the hospital started two new projects since is in his position, or in this position. I'm sorry. One of them is the MRI image services. It's a new service that the hospital opened, and they invest a lot of money in that new service. And the other one is the acquisition of the local pharmacy. The hospital used to have a pharmacy wasn't that big or good or complete as needed, as it was needed for the community. So they bought this um, more bigger and more sophisticated pharmacy local. So he was in charge of these two projects, and he uh, designed the financial profile of those, the forecast financially in financial terms, the forecast of these two projects. And right now they are both uh, going on, and they're doing good. Now this the greatest career achievement. This part of the form that we or yes that we completed together was a little hard to do because it was very we didn't have too much time, and this was very fast. But what can I see here is Mr. Blaze skills in reference to this to the application of his skills to this two projects, especially the one the pharmacy we talk a lot about that. Um, so the local to open a local pharmacy demands a lot of skills, a lot of the skills that are mentioned in this. For example, foresight, stewardship, the commitment to grow of people. So that's why he mentioned it was a big thing for him, and that's why he auto graded him as in a high rate or a high level. The acquisition of a local pharmacy. Well, what he mentioned, he lead his team to do this five uh, things before or in the process to decide if purchase the pharmacy or not. So the financial forecast, of course, he lead his team. He has a he mentioned, I think, seven or eight people under his the report directly to him, but 50 people, 40 or 50 people that reports to those eight. So there is a lot. So it's almost 50 people under his command. Um, and well, the research of potential income, they had to forecast that too. They talked to the providers here and the hospital, and well, basically asked them how often they use that pharmacy for prescriptions, and well, from that point of view, they start doing their numbers. Then they elaborate the business plan, probably with the operational team and the management team. Well, negotiate terms and review the loan conditions with the bank. That's everything was in charge of this department. So handling the challenge. This is in particular, we're talking about only the purchase of the uh, pharmacy. The servant leadership characteristics that were mentioned in this table, or out from that, he again, we didn't have too much time. He did this very quick, and what I can only uh, have or ponderate from this part of the interview was he had a very, or he evaluated himself as a great listener, commitment to the growth of the people, and interest to build in building community. And I could tell that because he mentioned he is part of church association. I mean, association within his church. They help a lot the community with services. So he is a very involved. He's very involved in this community stuff um, all year round. Well, finally, the power basis and impact of behavior. Finally, with this table, again, we did this fast. From this, the power-based definition is basically the authority that comes from the organization that allows the leader to have power. And of course, for a CFO, that's pretty much logical because they hold the power. I mean, the chiefs, the CEO, the CFO, the chief in operations too. Basically, they hold the power to decide. And I think what he mentioned, and we will see it later. He is a very democratic person. He talks about the project, talks with his team, and explain what are the reasons, what are the objectives of each project. But uh, he has the last word, of course. So in that, from that point of view, I think he performs very good. He mentioned he had a great um, he used a lot his emotional stability skill, and that's important for a CFO, especially when things are not working as expected. And sometimes when a new project starts, the first months are rough. So it's very important for a leader to have, like he said, a to be very in control, on control of his emotions. This is Mr. Blay. Now, the leadership style comparison with Mr. Branson. Mr. Blay, I thought his strength is the democratic leadership style because, again, he talks about socializate or to talk about the people around him. What is the project about? What is the reason they're doing this? If, for money wise and for service for the community too. Now, the authoritarian leadership might be the opposite to the democratic, and that might be his area for improvement. To maybe he's a young person, he's only 30, 34, so he might gain that skill that be more authoritarian. It's not to not exaggerating, but to be more. I have the power. I'm in control of this. I'll try to uh, listen to everyone, but ultimately I have the last word. That's my opinion from the 35-minute interview. Now, Mr. Richard Branson, I think is the opposite. Mr. Branson is it's. I think his strength is taking risk, uh, but I think that might be when you if you exaggerate that part of your skills, that might be not too good for yourself. I mean, in terms of, I mean, it's very hard to questioning a person that has reached success as he did. I think his ego, and I wrote something around here. If I have to compare both, I think Mr. Branson has a big ego, especially because of this space project, the space tourism project that he had, and I think he abandoned recently. That's more ego than business, and I think that's the opposite to Mr. Blay. And for a and again, it's hard to critique a person that has been that success. It's only that sometimes for people like Mr. Blay and all the leaders in small rural communities, probably it's not money what they thrives them. It's just to be part of something bigger, and community is bigger than personal stuff, right? So my final reflections, I chose Mr. Blay because I believe that, as I said in the previous slide, in small rural community like those here in Southwest Iowa, it's very important that you have young leaders boosting the economy through new ideas and strategies, not only for money, because it's important, especially for a nonprofit organization like the hospital, but for the community. They have now two new things very close to him. They don't have to go to the city to reach a MRI analysis or an image thing. And even though we have a couple here in town, a couple of pharmacies, this is probably complete and very efficient, I would say. So even though he mentioned that even though he hadn't finished, I mean it's on track. I would say the business it hasn't reached. It's only 6 months since they purchased the pharmacy, but it's in good track to reach the objective they planned from the beginning. All right, that's it. I really appreciate your help receiving this presentation, Professor Lisa. I thank you a lot.